So we have a picture, there we are. Do you recognise it? Very few people have actually seen that with their own physical eyes, and we can see a photo of it. But the very first ones that actually saw that were on the Apollo 8 moon flight. They left the Earth in December 1968. I was 12 months old. And they flew to the moon and went around it 10 times and came back. And they saw that amazing sight. And one of those astronauts, he said, it was the most beautiful thing to see in all the heavens, talking about the Earth. He added, people down here don't realise what they have. And isn't that the truth? We just take it for granted very often. But our beautiful home is not just beautiful from space, is it? Got a little slideshow I'd like to share with you, some holiday snaps. No doubt you have your own pictures like these. Whether it's mountains like these ones, you all know where they are. You've probably got photos like that yourself, have you? That's in New Zealand. Or the ocean, sunsets, lakes, rivers. They're beautiful, aren't they? Parks. Beautiful things to visit. Even suburban streets can be just so beautiful you want to take a photo of them. Look at that one. The autumn leaves. So that wasn't just to take you on a journey through my holidays, but just to highlight how beautiful the earth is. And to highlight too the talent that our Creator, Jehovah God, has, his artistry, his architecture, engineering. Jehovah is truly an amazing person, isn't he? He can do things like that. So it's no wonder that in Genesis 1:31, after creating the earth and putting humans in the Garden of Eden, which he designed and built, he said, look, it was very good. He was proud of his work, and justifiably so, don't you think? For what has he done with this amazing planet? Well, the Psalms help us to see what he's done. If we open our Bibles to Psalm 115, we could read a verse here together. Psalm 115, verse 16. That tells us, as for the heavens, they belong to Jehovah. That's where he lives. But the earth he has given to the sons of men. So God settled those first humans, Adam and Eve, into a perfect garden home. He called that home Eden, a paradise. And from that time all the way to our day, the scriptures link the planet Earth that we saw and humans living on it inextricably together. They're both referred to as the earth. Even the first man's name, Adam, it has the root meaning of red, as in red of the clay, which he was taken from. And then, as we look through the scriptures, the Hebrew word for Adam is used over 560 times in the Hebrew scriptures. It's most often translated into English as man or mankind or human. So we're all red. Do you get the point? The humans came from the earth. We belong to the earth, and it belongs to us. So what did God purpose for the earth? So that's the planet and human society who live on it. Well, the scriptures help us to understand that too. If we could just take a moment to go to Genesis chapter 1. So straight away in the Bible, we can find out what God's purpose is for the earth. Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. That says, further God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and become many, fill the earth and subdue it, and have in subjection the fish of the sea and the flying creatures of the heavens and every living creature that is moving on the earth. So a very simple purpose he had for the earth and for humans living on it. And every part of that purpose is just beautifully enjoyable, isn't it? To have a family, to garden, make the earth a paradise, look after the animals. What a precious gift to have a purpose like that. So how have we gone? Have we made the earth a paradise? Are we looking after the planet and its other inhabitants? Well, have a look at this picture. You might recall it. How have we gone? It's disturbing, isn't it? Humans in general have abandoned God and the wise guidance he has. And the result is that, according to the brightest and best of human minds on the earth today, we are at 90 seconds to midnight, the closest we've ever been to the end of the earth, the planet and the people living on it, according to those minds. Man's mismanagement of this wonderful gift from our Creator has been monumental in scale, hasn't it? We've upset the balance of nature. The cycles and systems that Jehovah designed to keep the earth a beautiful place to live in have been upset. We see climate change, increasing extreme weather events, and lots of natural disasters in one place after another. Along with that, we have the threat of war, there's crime, terrorism, social breakdown. It's a sad story, isn't it? Add to those things, there is selfishness, moral degradation. All these things are robbing us of our humanity. And so we find the times that we live in today critical and hard to deal with, just as the scriptures said they would be. Now, all these things are really symptoms of a much deeper problem, a spiritual problem, and that is sin. Now, how we came to be sinners is a subject for a whole other talk, and if you're not sure, talk to one of Jehovah's Witnesses. They'll help you to see why we are cursed with sin at the moment. But we want to focus on what it's done to the planet. It's really separated us from our Creator and our life-giver, and the wisdom and the life that he intended for us to enjoy. Sin moves us to show a wanton disregard for Jehovah and his purposes for this planet and the people who live on it. So what will Jehovah do about this mess that we're in today? Well, let's open our Bibles together to 2 Peter chapter 3, and while we do that, we'll have our next picture put up on the screen. It's a disturbing image, isn't it? 2 Peter 3:7 says, "But by the same word, the heavens and the earth that now exist are reserved for fire and are being kept until the day of judgment and the destruction of the ungodly people." So as you read that, is that the image that comes to your mind? The earth on fire, being destroyed? Burn it all and maybe start again somewhere else? Is that what God has in mind? Well, let's take a look at the context that this verse is taken from, because you notice at the beginning of verse 7, it says, "But by the same word." So that it really helps us to see there is actually something that goes before this. So if we go back to verse 5, it says about those who mock God. It says, "For they deliberately ignore this fact, that long ago there were heavens and an earth standing firmly out of water and in the midst of water by the word of God. And by those means the world at that time suffered destruction when it was flooded with water." And then it goes on to say, "By the same word, the heavens and the earth that are now are being reserved for fire." So God actually has dealt with a ruined earth in the past. In the days before the flood, the earth was ruined when disobedient angels resided among humans here on the earth, and their hybrid offspring filled the earth with violence and immorality. So Jehovah decided to destroy that human society, and he did it with a flood. But the earth, the planet, actually survived that, didn't it? We're still standing on it. And people did too. Righteous people survived that destruction. And it seems from Peter's statement, by the same word, that God has something similar in mind for our day. Something more permanent, though, because things washed with water get dirty again, don't they? But things that are cleansed by fire, well, they stay cleaner for much longer. Things that are destroyed by fire don't come back. So can we be sure that really is what God is saying in his word, that he's not going to destroy the planet or the people on it, but he has something else in mind? Well, let's consider some other statements from the scriptures together. Let's go to the last book of the Bible, Revelation. It's always my goal to go from Genesis to Revelation, and we've done it now. Revelation chapter 11 and verse 18. Just at the end of that verse, it talks about a coming time of judgment, but part of that judgment is described right at the end of the verse, that last little phrase there, that God plans to bring to ruin those ruining the earth. So who is it that is ruining the earth? That's the planet and the people who live on it. Who's doing that? Well, we can see from our study of the Bible and what we know from the world events going on around us that it's Satan, the devil, the demons who joined him in that pre-flood rebellion, and wicked humans. They're the ones that are ruining the earth, and these are the ones that Jehovah will bring to ruin. Can we be absolutely confident that that's the case, that the earth, the planet, and human society, righteous human society, will remain forever? Well, the scriptures make it very clear that we can have that confidence. Let's look together at some of them, shall we? Ecclesiastes, can you find that? Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 4. That tells us a generation is going and a generation is coming, but the earth remains forever. That's pretty clear, isn't it? If you're using using our app on your device, just a little E there at the end of forever, the cross-reference scriptures, just tap that. There's some more scriptures that say the same thing, basically. I like Psalm 104, verse 5. He, that is Jehovah, has established the earth on its foundations. It will not be moved from its place forever and ever. That is a long time. So do you want more? There's more. Go to Psalm 93 and verse 1. Jehovah has become king. With grandeur he is clothed. Jehovah is clothed with strength. He wears it like a belt. The earth is firmly established. It cannot be moved. So you notice here that Jehovah, first of all, speaks about his sovereignty. And then what is linked to it? The earth. That issue of sovereignty is tied up with the preservation of the earth and a righteous human society on it. And that will be ensured by his unstoppable power. What greater guarantee could we ever imagine? There's a very similar thought in Jeremiah 27 and verse 5. Again, Jehovah speaking, he said, "It is I who made the earth, mankind, and the beasts that are on the surface of the earth by my great power and by my outstretched arm, and I have given it to whomever I please." Jehovah made this beautiful planet, and he made it perfectly to sustain life. It's in just the right location. The climate is perfect, fine-tuned for life. The planet itself is well stocked with very useful materials. It has the ability to produce an abundance of food and drink. And Jehovah has built in amazing cycles and mechanisms that are self-perpetuating and self-correcting to maintain that balance within those very narrow parameters that are required for life on this planet. He has also spun an intricate web of life so that animals, plants, humans, all of this abundant life on the earth can exist together indefinitely. Would he go to all that effort and then burn it? Wouldn't that be absurd? So it's clear, isn't it? God's stated purpose is to have this planet a paradise home for righteous humans. And because it's his purpose, it must be accomplished. Isaiah 14:24 assures us very firmly of that. Can we go there? Isaiah 14:24. Jehovah of armies has sworn, just as I have intended, so it will occur. And just as I have decided, that is what will come true. So what we are experiencing today is just a temporary interruption. True to his name, he who causes to become, right at the start of the rebellion, he launched a rescue mission for the earth. Jesus would pay the ransom necessary to buy back the human family from sin. And having just celebrated the anniversary of Christ's death, we all have a heightened appreciation for what Jesus did for us nearly 2,000 years ago. Dying, a perfect man to replace Adam. So how is the rescue progressing? Does the Bible give us any indication? Well, let's examine 3 passages from the last book of the Bible, Revelation, and see what we can learn as to how the rescue mission is progressing. Firstly, we'll go to chapter 16, if you don't mind. Chapter 16, verse 13 through 16. We'll read together. Now, see if you can follow. There's lots of different characters here. It says, I saw 3 unclean, inspired expressions that looked like frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the mouth of the wild beast and out of the mouth of the false prophet. They are, in fact, expressions inspired by demons, and they perform signs, and they go out to the kings of the entire inhabited earth to gather them together to the war of the great day of God the Almighty. Look, I am coming as a thief. Happy is the one who stays awake and keeps his outer garments, so that he may not walk naked and people look upon his shamefulness. And they gather them together to the place that is called in Hebrew Armageddon. So while Revelation is written very much in illustrations and symbols, and we don't have time to identify each of these characters, but we can get the flavour of what's happening here, can't we? God's enemies are being gathered together by ideas or concepts that God finds repulsive. Can we see that happening today? We certainly can, can't we? The God-dishonouring teaching of evolution, issues related with sexuality, gender blurring and gender fluidity, abortion, nationalism, materialism, world peace through human efforts. There's a huge list of these ideas that are gathering people to take a stand against God. They're bringing that issue to a head. But while that's all going on, there was a spark of hope, wasn't there? There would be some who stay awake, and then God was going to finish it, wasn't he, at Armageddon. So while he didn't institute this gathering of his enemies, that's happened because of the rebellion, he will make sure that they are judged and destroyed. And the chapters that follow, first of all, show how false religion is judged and destroyed, soon followed by commercialism and corrupt political forces. In fact, anyone who opposes God is judged and destroyed. And then Jehovah deals with Satan, the devil. Let's go to Revelation chapter 20. From verse 1, the scriptures tell us, and I saw an angel coming down out of heaven with the key of the abyss, with a great chain in his hand. He seized the dragon, the original serpent, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he hurled him into the abyss and shut it and sealed it over him, so that he would not mislead the nations any more until 1,000 years were ended. And after this, he must be released for a little while. So here we see Jehovah's champion, Jesus Christ, that angel with a chain. He goes into action against the chief desecrator and polluter of the earth, the chief one that's ruining this planet. Jesus will make sure that Satan has no influence at all over the earth for 1,000 years. Can you imagine what life will be like without that evil influence? Won't the earth be a very different place? Ready to renovate, to be made new again. It's a real fixer-upper. In fact, that's exactly what's described in the next chapter of Revelation, chapter 21. Beautiful verses that give us hope, and we share these in the ministry with people often, don't we? Revelation 21 from verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the former heaven and the former earth had passed away, and the sea is no more. I also saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, and prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. With that I heard a loud voice from the throne say, "Look, the tent of God is with mankind, and he will reside with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them. And he will wipe out every tear from their eyes, and death will be no more. Neither will mourning, nor outcry, nor pain be any more. The former things have passed away." And the one seated on the throne said, "Look, I'm making all things new." Also he says, "Write, for these words are faithful and true." So a new earth, same planet but restored. New human society living on it, and a new government from the heavens ruling over that earth. The new Jerusalem, set up by God, with Christ Jesus as King, 144,000 serving along with him, all bought from the earth with his blood, joined together to accomplish Jehovah's will for the earth. What will that mean for people living on the earth at that time? Let's have a look at this next picture. It'll mean the removal of sin, life without tears and pain, a healing of all our imperfections. These people are hundreds of years old. Finally, they've found time to work out their talents, practice painting in this case. What a marvellous future. There'll be satisfying work for everyone, and the earth will be just as Jehovah intended, a wonderful park, a paradise of pleasure. The population of the earth will grow. Some may be born in the new world, but for the most part the growth will come from the tomb or the grave of mankind being emptied. Jesus himself will oversee this resurrection of billions of people, and then he, along with the 144,000, will ensure that each one is cared for. Maybe we could have that next picture. They will provide physically, but also spiritually, as we see here, people's spiritual needs being met. The greatest of all education works will get underway in the new earth, and each one will be helped to know Jehovah and the one he sent, Jesus Christ. Can you imagine being in that classroom, perhaps being an instructor? Who will be in your class? So are you excited to have a share in the fulfillment of Jesus' model prayer, that God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven? I'm sure we are. So let's go back to the beginning with our first picture. What have we learned? The earth will remain forever. That's a fact. Isaiah 55:11 gives us more assurance that that really is the truth. Isaiah 55:11, where God himself says, "So my word that goes out of my mouth will be. It will not return to me without results, but it will certainly accomplish whatever is my delight, and it will have sure success in what I have sent it to do." Jehovah's name and his sovereignty absolutely guarantee that this planet, populated by righteous humans, will exist forever. The rebellion of those first humans in the Garden of Eden will not stop the Almighty God from having the earth a paradise home for obedient humans. He has found a way to accomplish that purpose without the rebels. He has Jesus and the 144,000 to provide leadership over this restored planet. Doesn't this knowledge fill us with enthusiasm and hope? We've got a wonderful future ahead of us. It helps us to cope with the chaos that life has become today. And it will help us to cope with the tribulations that are coming in our near future. But just one more thing we need to think about, or I'd like to have you think about. Now, this planet may not be the only physical planet in the universe ever to be inhabited. Jehovah has not revealed what he has in mind for that vast physical universe that surrounds us. But the earth will always be very special to Jehovah God, unique to the Creator and to all intelligent creation. Because this is where Jehovah indisputably vindicates his universal sovereignty, and he sanctifies his name in a very special way. He's establishing here on this planet an eternal and universal legal precedent, a touchstone, if you want to call it that, so that never again will anyone have to experience what we have experienced as a human family. This will be the only planet on which Jehovah of armies will have fought the war of the great day of God the Almighty. This planet Earth will be the only planet where Jehovah sends his only begotten Son, his dearest friend, to become a man and die to rescue us. This will be the only planet from which 144,000 individuals are taken, become a new creation, to rule over this planet to God's glory. Isn't it a privilege to live here on this planet? And to live for eternity on this planet will be a wonderful joy. Now, we learned earlier that God's enemies are gathering against him, but God himself is doing some gathering of his own. He is collecting together his friends, people who love peace, into an international brotherhood, the foundation of that new earth, which will remain forever. And Jehovah's Witnesses are delighted to help you to learn about that new earth arrangement and what you need to do to become a part of it, to become a part of God's universal family. So our beautiful planet Earth is here to stay. It will remain forever. And so can you.